I still remember the exact moment I realized I was in love with someone I could never have. It wasn't during some grand romantic gesture. It wasn't under starlight or candlelight or any of the beautiful lies we tell ourselves about how love should arrive. It was on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, watching her tuck a strand of dark hair behind her ear while she laughed at something her husband said across the dinner table. And I felt it. That sick, beautiful ache of wanting someone so completely that your own happiness becomes irrelevant. She was 37. I was 24. She wore a wedding ring that caught the light every time she moved her hand. And every single night that summer, despite everything that should have kept us apart, desire pulled us closer. This is the story of how I fell in love with Marina, my mother's best friend, my temporary landlady, and the woman who taught me that some kinds of hunger can't be reasoned with, can't be denied, and can absolutely destroy you in the most exquisite way possible. This is a forbidden love story. This is an age gap love story. This is the kind of sensual bedtime story that will linger in your mind long after it ends. So if you're ready for an emotional romantic story that explores the beautiful devastation of desire, stay with me. My name is Alex, and that summer I was 24, freshly graduated and completely lost. I'd just finished my master's degree and landed a 3-month contract position in Portland, a city where I knew exactly one person, my mother's college best friend, Marina Castellanos. "She's wonderful," my mom had said over the phone. "She and Victor just bought this beautiful old house in the Pearl District. They have a guest suite they're not using. She'd love to have you." I'd met Marina exactly twice in my life, once at my high school graduation, once at my 21st birthday party my mother threw. Both times she'd been warm, sophisticated, effortlessly elegant in that way some women just are. Both times I'd barely registered her beyond mom's friend. That changed the moment she opened the door the first evening I arrived. She stood in the doorway backlit by golden hour light, wearing a simple linen dress the color of sage, her dark hair longer than I remembered, falling past her shoulders. She had the kind of beauty that snuck up on you. Not obvious, not loud, but devastating once you actually looked. "Alex," she said, and her voice had this quality to it, warm and low and faintly accented from her years growing up in Argentina. Come in, come in. You must be exhausted." The house smelled like jasmine and old wood, and something cooking that made my stomach growl. She led me through rooms filled with art and books, and the kind of careful disorder that spoke of actual living, not magazine staging. "Victor's at a conference in Seattle this week," she said as we climbed the stairs. "So it's just us for dinner. I hope that's all right." Victor, her husband. 15 years older than her, a professor of architecture, frequently traveling. I'd seen pictures, silver-haired, distinguished, the kind of man who wore blazers with elbow patches unironically. "That's perfect," I said. She showed me to the guest suite, a converted attic space with slanted ceilings and a skylight and its own small bathroom. It was beautiful. Everything about her home was beautiful. "Settle in," she said from the doorway. "Dinner in an hour? I'm making chimichurri chicken. I hope you eat meat." "I eat everything," I said, and something about the way her eyes held mine for just a beat too long made my skin prickle with awareness. Then she smiled and left, and I told myself I'd imagined it. That first dinner should have been awkward. 24-year-old stranger eating with his mother's 37-year-old friend in her absent husband's house. But Marina had this gift for making everything feel easy. We talked about my new job, her work as a freelance translator, books we'd both read, places we wanted to travel. She drank red wine and her lips stained darker with each sip. She laughed with her whole body, leaning forward, touching my arm briefly when I said something funny. And when our knees bumped under the table, that small, ordinary table that forced a certain proximity, neither of us moved away. "Your mother talks about you constantly," she said as we cleared plates. "She's so proud of you." "She talks about you too," I said. "She said you've been friends since college." 20 years, Marina said, and something flickered across her face. God, has it really been 20 years? That makes me feel ancient. You're not ancient, I said automatically. She looked at me then, really looked, and I felt that prickle again, stronger this time. You're sweet, she said quietly. And that's how it started. Not with anything dramatic, just small moments of recognition, the beginning of awareness. That night, lying under the skylight in my new room, I thought about the way her dress had shifted when she reached for plates, the way she'd smelled like jasmine and wine, the way my mother's friend had somehow stopped being my mother's friend and had become simply Marina. Just Marina. And I was so screwed. The first week passed in a haze of newness. New job, new city, new routines. I left early each morning, returned around 6. Marina worked from home, translating documents in a sun-filled office off the living room, usually with music playing softly in Spanish. We fell into a pattern. I'd come home to find her cooking or reading on the back patio with a glass of wine, or sometimes just standing at the kitchen counter in bare feet, lost in thought. "How was your day?" became our ritual greeting. Such ordinary words. But the way she asked, with genuine interest, genuine warmth, made them feel like something more. Victor came home that Friday. He was exactly as I'd imagined, charming, intelligent, wrapped up in his work. He shook my hand firmly, asked polite questions about my job, then disappeared into his study for a conference call. "He's always working," Marina said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Even when he's home, he's not really here." I noticed then what I hadn't before. The way she moved through her beautiful house like a ghost haunting her own life. The way certain rooms seemed colder when Victor was in them. That weekend I gave them space, exploring Portland alone. But Sunday evening, I came home to find only Marina on the patio, surrounded by twilight and citronella candles. "Victor left this morning," she said. "Another conference. Chicago this time." "Does he travel a lot?" "Constantly." She gestured to the chair beside her. "Sit, have a drink with me. I made too much sangria." I sat. She poured. The evening air was warm and thick with the smell of jasmine from the garden. "Can I ask you something?" she said after a while. "Of course." "Are you happy?" The question surprised me. I think so. I mean, I'm still figuring things out. Why?" She swirled her wine, watching the liquid catch candlelight. "You remind me of myself at your age. That particular kind of restlessness. Like you're waiting for your real life to start. Is that bad?" "No," she said softly. "But it means you might wake up one day and realize you've been so busy waiting that you missed all the moments worth having." She looked at me then, and in the candlelight her face was heartbreakingly beautiful and sad. "Is that what happened to you?" I asked. She smiled. "We're talking about you, not me." But we weren't, not really. We were talking about loneliness and time and choices that lead you somewhere you never meant to go. That night marked a shift. We became friends. Real friends. We started having dinner together every evening, even when Victor was home. We'd talk for hours, about everything and nothing. She told me about growing up in Buenos Aires, about missing her family, about the translation project she was working on, a novel about forbidden love, ironically. "It's beautiful," she said one night, "but tragic. They can't be together. The timing is all wrong." "Do you think timing matters?" I asked. "If two people really love each other?" She looked at me with those dark, intelligent eyes. "I think timing is everything. Two people can be perfect for each other, but if they meet at the wrong moment..." She trailed off, shaking her head. "Everything matters. Age, circumstances, obligations." I knew we weren't talking about the novel anymore. The touches started innocently enough. Her hand on my shoulder when she passed behind my chair. My arm around her waist briefly when we both reached for the same serving dish. accidental brushes that lingered a half-second too long. Then they stopped being accidental. One evening, maybe 3 weeks in, we were cooking together. Something we'd started doing, this collaborative ritual where I'd chop vegetables and she'd handle everything else. I was slicing tomatoes and cut my thumb. Nothing serious, just enough to bleed. "Let me see," Marina said immediately, taking my hand in both of hers. She held my hand under the faucet, her fingers careful and gentle around my wrist. She was close enough that I could smell her perfume, feel the warmth radiating from her skin. "It's fine," I said, but my voice came out rough. She looked up at me. We were the same height, and the air between us suddenly felt charged, electric, impossible. "You should be more careful," she whispered. "I'm trying to be," I said, and we both knew I wasn't talking about the knife. She pulled away then, flustered, reaching for a bandage. Her hands trembled slightly as she wrapped my thumb. After that, we both tried to be more careful. We'd catch ourselves leaning too close and pull back. We'd start to say something and stop. The tension built like pressure, like something that had to break eventually. I started noticing everything about her. The way she bit her lower lip when she was concentrating. The way she moved through the house barefoot, completely at ease in her own skin. The way certain dresses draped on her body. The sound of her shower running in the morning. The fact that she slept with her window open, and sometimes I could hear her moving around late at night. One Friday evening, Victor was home for once, and they were getting ready for some faculty dinner party. I was in the kitchen when Marina came downstairs in a black dress that made my breath catch. "How do I look?" she asked, turning. "Beautiful," I said, and meant it so completely that I had to look away. When I glanced up, Victor was checking his phone, oblivious, but Marina was looking at me with an expression that made my heart race. They left. I went to my room and tried not to imagine her at the party, smiling and charming, and coming home to a husband who barely saw her. Around midnight, I heard them return. Heard Victor's heavy footsteps going to his study. Of course, he had work to finish. Heard Marina's lighter steps climbing to the second floor where their bedroom was. Then, maybe 30 minutes later, I heard something else. The soft sound of crying. I lay there in the dark, listening to Marina cry in her perfect house with her successful husband and her beautiful life, and I wanted nothing more than to go to her. But I couldn't. She was married. She was my mother's best friend. She was 13 years older than me. She was forbidden. And I'd never wanted anything more in my entire life. The next morning at breakfast, she had circles under her eyes but smiled brightly when I came down. "Coffee?" she asked, as if nothing had happened. "Please." We stood at the counter, close but not touching, and the air between us hummed with everything we weren't saying. "Marina," I started. "Don't," she whispered. "Please don't." So I didn't. But we both knew. Whatever this was between us, this desire, this connection, this impossible thing, it was getting harder and harder to ignore. Victor left again the following Monday. 2 weeks in Amsterdam this time. "I don't know why you don't just go with him," I said that evening. "See the city, make it a vacation." Marina laughed, but it was bitter. "He doesn't want me there. His work is sacred. I'd just be in the way." "I don't think you could ever be in the way." She looked at me sharply. "Alex." "What?" "You can't say things like that to me." "Why not? It's true." "Because," she said, and her voice shook, "because I'm married. Because you're my friend's son. Because you're young and you have your whole life ahead of you and I'm—" "You're what?" I stood up frustrated. "You're what, Marina? Old? You're 37, not 70. You're brilliant and beautiful and you deserve someone who actually sees you." "Stop. No. You asked me weeks ago if I was happy. So now I'm asking you. Are you? Are you happy in this house with a man who's never here, living this perfect life that feels completely empty? Tears welled in her eyes. You don't understand. You're so young, you think everything is simple. That feelings are enough. But I made vows. I have responsibilities. I can't just... She stopped, breathing hard. Can't just what? Can't just feel what I'm feeling. The words burst out of her, raw and desperate. I can't look at you the way I look at you. I can't. The silence that followed was deafening. What do you want, Marina? I asked quietly. She closed her eyes. Something I can't have. I crossed the kitchen to where she stood by the sink. I didn't touch her, but I was close enough that I could feel the heat of her body, see the rapid rise and fall of her breath. What if you could? I whispered. Alex, I'm married. To a man who doesn't see you, who leaves you alone in this house night after night, who makes you cry. You heard that? Her voice was small. I hear everything. The floorboards, the shower, your footsteps. I know when you can't sleep. I know you read with your window open. I know you like your coffee black in the morning, but with cream in the afternoon. I know you bite your thumbnail when you're anxious. I see you, Marina. Every part of you. She opened her eyes then, and they were brimming with tears and something else. Something hungry and desperate and terrified. We can't, she whispered. I know. This is wrong. I know. I'm too old for you. You're not. Your mother is 2,000 miles away and has nothing to do with what I feel when I look at you. Marina's breath hitched. We stood there, inches apart, the entire summer of tension crackling between us. If you touch me, she said, her voice barely audible, I won't be able to stop. Then don't stop. Alex. I lifted my hand slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. I touched her face, just my fingertips against her cheek, and she closed her eyes like it hurt. We should both walk away right now, she whispered. We should. Neither of us moved. Then, like a dam breaking, she leaned forward and pressed her forehead against my chest. Not a kiss, not an embrace, just that simple gesture of surrender. I wrapped my arms around her and she trembled against me. This is so wrong, she murmured into my shirt. I know. I'm married. I know. I'm your mother's best friend. I know. And I want you so much I can barely breathe. My arms tightened around her. We stood like that for a long time, just holding each other, both of us shaking with the enormity of what we were admitting. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were red-rimmed but clear. I need to think, she said. I need time. This is too much. Okay. Promise me you'll be patient with me. I promise. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'm going to bed. Alone. We both need to sleep on this. Okay, I said again. She started to leave, then turned back. Alex? Yeah? Thank you for seeing me. Then she was gone. And I was alone in the kitchen, my heart hammering, knowing that everything had just changed. She avoided me for 3 days. She wasn't cruel about it. Marina could never be cruel. She was just absent, working longer hours in her office, eating meals at odd times, being perfectly polite but distant whenever our paths crossed. It was torture. Thursday evening, I came home to find a note on the kitchen counter. Gone for a walk. There's pasta in the fridge. M. I heated the pasta she'd made me, poured a glass of wine, and tried not to think about how much I missed her, even though she lived in the same house. Around 10 o'clock, I heard the front door open. Marina's footsteps, hesitant in the hallway. Then her voice, soft. Alex, are you still up? In the living room. She appeared in the doorway. She'd been walking for hours. Her hair was mussed, her cheeks flushed, Her dress wrinkled. She looked heartbreakingly beautiful. "Can we talk?" she asked. Of course. She sat on the opposite end of the couch, putting careful distance between us. For a long moment, she just looked at her hands. "I've been married to Victor for 11 years, she finally said. "We were happy once, or I thought we were. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being partners and became roommates. Then we stopped being roommates and became strangers who share a house. Marina, let me finish." She took a shaky breath. "I've told myself for years that it's fine, that this is just what marriage becomes, that passion fades and comfort is enough. But then you moved in, and suddenly I remembered what it feels like to be actually seen by someone, to be wanted, to want." She looked up at me, and her eyes were full of tears. "I don't know what to do," she whispered. "Because I want you, Alex. God help me, I want you so much. But wanting you means betraying my vows, means hurting your mother, means being the kind of woman who... You're not a bad person for having feelings. But I want to act on them. That's what makes it different." "Then act on them." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." I slid closer to her on the couch. "You're desperately unhappy in a marriage that ended years ago. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to choose yourself." "And what about you?" she asked. "You're 24. You should be with someone your own age, someone free, someone who isn't you." I cupped her face in my hands. "Marina, I don't want someone my age. I don't want someone free. I want you. Exactly you. Every complicated, beautiful, impossible part of you." Her breath caught. "If we do this, there's no going back. I know. Everything will change. I know. People will judge us. Your mother will..." "I don't care." I leaned closer, my forehead touching hers. "I don't care about any of it. I only care about you." She closed her eyes, and a tear slipped down her cheek. "I'm scared." "Me too. But I can't fight this anymore." "Then don't." For one endless moment, we stayed like that, foreheads together, breathing the same air, balanced on the edge of everything. Then Marina whispered, "Kiss me." So I did, and the entire world fell away. The kiss started soft, tentative, testing, learning. Her lips were wine-sweet and trembling. She made a small sound in the back of her throat, and I felt it vibrate through my entire body. Then something shifted. The kiss deepened, became urgent, desperate, like we were trying to make up for the entire summer of denial in a single moment. Her hands fisted in my shirt. I pulled her closer, and she came willingly, climbing into my lap, pressing against me. "Alex," she gasped against my mouth. "Alex, we should..." "Should what?" "I don't know. Be smart. Be careful." "I don't want to be careful anymore." "Neither do I." I kissed her neck, and she arched into me, her breathing ragged. She smelled like jasmine and summer air and something uniquely her. I wanted to memorize every inch of her. "Not here," she finally managed. "Not on the couch like teenagers." She stood, pulling me with her, her hand tight in mine. We climbed the stairs together, past the second floor where she'd slept alone in her marriage bed for years, up to the third floor, to my room under the skylight. At the door, she hesitated one last time. "Last chance to change your mind," she whispered. "Not a chance." "Then take me to bed," she said, "and don't let me go." The following section is handled with implied intimacy only, using emotional resonance rather than explicit detail. What happened next in that attic room under the stars was everything. Tender and passionate, desperate and gentle, like two people who'd been drowning finally finding air. I undressed her slowly, reverent, discovering her body like a prayer. She did the same with me, her hands trembling, her eyes dark with desire and vulnerability. "You're so beautiful," I whispered. "So are you," she said, and pulled me down to her. We fit together like we'd been designed for this moment. Every touch, every kiss, every whispered word felt both new and ancient, like remembering something I'd always known. She cried when we finally came together, not from pain, but from the sheer overwhelming relief of finally letting go of all the resistance, all the fear, all the denial. "I've got you," I whispered against her hair. "I've got you. Don't let me go. Never." Afterward, we lay tangled together under the skylight, her head on my chest, our breathing slowly returning to normal. I traced patterns on her bare back, and she shivered with pleasure. "I should regret this," she murmured. "But I don't. Is that terrible?" "No, it's honest." She lifted her head to look at me. "What happens now?" "I don't know." "Very helpful," she said, but she was smiling. "I just know I want more of this, more of you, whatever that looks like." She kissed me softly. "One step at a time?" "One step at a time." We made love again as dawn started creeping through the skylight, slower this time, learning each other's rhythms, storing up memories against whatever came next. Reality returned with the morning light. Marina woke in my arms, and for a moment, she looked peaceful. Then I watched awareness flood back. What we'd done, what it meant, what it cost. "Oh, God," she whispered. "Hey, look at me." I tilted her face toward mine. "Don't do this. Don't spiral. Alex, I cheated on my husband, in his house, with my best friend's son. You made a choice to be happy. There's a difference." She sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. In the morning light, I could see every emotion playing across her face. Desire and guilt and fear and something that might have been hope. "I need to talk to Victor," she said finally. "Okay. Not about us. Not yet. But about our marriage. About what we've become." She looked at me. "That conversation was overdue before you ever walked into my life. I support whatever you need to do." She reached out, touching my face. "You're being remarkably mature about this." "I love you," I said simply. "I'm going to support you through whatever comes next." Her eyes widened. "You... what?" "I love you, Marina. I think I started falling for you the moment you opened the door that first night. Maybe before, in some way I didn't understand yet." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "You can't say that." "Why not?" "Because it makes this real. Because it means this wasn't just, I don't know, passion or attraction or some summer fling. Because if you love me..." She stopped, breathing hard. "If I love you, then what?" "Then I have to make real choices. Hard choices. Life-changing choices." "Yes." She laughed, a little wild. "You're 24. You're supposed to be running from commitment, not declaring love to complicated older women." "I'm not interested in running, not from you." She studied my face for a long moment. Then, very quietly, "I love you too. And that terrifies me." "Me too." We kissed, soft and sweet, sealing the confession. Victor came home 2 days later. I watched Marina's face when she saw him in the doorway. The way she stiffened, the way her smile didn't reach her eyes. He barely looked at her, already on his phone, already distracted. "How was Amsterdam?" she asked. "Productive. I'm exhausted. I think I'll work from the study." And just like that, he was gone again, even though he was home. Marina looked at me across the kitchen, and I saw her resolve solidifying. That evening, after I'd retreated upstairs, I heard their voices. Not shouting, Marina wasn't the type, but intense, serious. The conversation went on for hours. Around midnight, there was a knock on my door. Marina stood there, still dressed, her eyes red but clear. "He's sleeping in the study tonight," she said. We talked, really talked, maybe for the first time in years. And he admitted he's been unhappy too, that he's been having an affair with a colleague for the past year. I blinked. What? Apparently we've both been living a lie. She laughed, but it was shaky. He suggested a divorce. Amicable, clean. He wants the house. I told him fine, I don't want it anyway. Marina, I'm sorry. Don't be. It's a relief, actually. We should have done this years ago. She stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. I told him about you. My heart stopped. You what? Not details, just that I've developed feelings for someone else. Someone who makes me feel alive again. She moved closer. He wasn't even surprised. He said he could tell something had changed in me. How do you feel? Terrified, liberated, like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. She reached for my hands. He's leaving tomorrow to stay with his brother while we sort things out. And I'm going to call your mother next week. Tell her about the divorce. Tell her about us. That's going to be a hard conversation. The hardest. She squeezed my hands. She might never forgive me. I might lose my oldest friend because I fell in love with her son. And is it worth it? She looked at me. Really looked. And I saw my answer in her eyes before she said the words. Yes, you're worth it. That was 6 months ago. As I'm telling you this story now, I'm sitting in a different apartment. One Marina and I chose together, in a different neighborhood, with big windows and plants and 2 coffee mugs permanently living on the counter. The divorce was finalized last month. It was, as Victor promised, amicable. Turns out it's easier to end things when both people are honest about wanting different lives. My mother? That was harder. She didn't speak to either of us for weeks after Marina called her. But eventually, slowly, painfully, she came around. Not because she approved, but because she loves us both enough to try to understand. I just want you both to be happy, she said the last time we talked. Even if this isn't what I would have chosen for either of you. It's not a fairy tale ending. There are still complications. Marina's family struggles with the age difference. Some of her friends stopped calling. My colleagues make assumptions and jokes that cut deeper than they know. But here's what I've learned. Sometimes the things worth having are the things we're told we shouldn't want. Sometimes love shows up inconveniently, impossibly, in the face of someone forbidden. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, desire doesn't lead you astray. It leads you home. Marina walks into the room now as I'm finishing this story. She's barefoot, wearing one of my t-shirts, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looks younger somehow, lighter, like leaving that beautiful prison of a house let her finally breathe. What are you doing? She asks. Just remembering. She comes to stand behind my chair, wrapping her arms around my shoulders, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. Any regrets? I ask. She thinks about it. Marina always thinks before she speaks. None, she finally says. Not a single one. I turn in her arms and pull her into my lap. She fits perfectly, like she always has. I love you, I say. I love you too. We kiss, slow and deep, and I'm struck by how different this is from that first desperate kiss on the couch 6 months ago. There's no urgency now, no fear of being caught, no weight of the forbidden. Just love. Just us. Just this life we've chosen, complications and all. Outside, the city lights are starting to glow in the dusk. Inside, we have each other. And that, despite everything, is enough. Thank you for listening to this emotional romantic story. If you enjoyed this forbidden love story and want to hear more sensual bedtime stories and erotic romance storytelling, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment below about your thoughts on age gap love stories and what draws you to tales of forbidden desire. Remember, the heart wants what it wants, even when it shouldn't, even when it's complicated, even when it's forbidden. Until next time, may you find the courage to follow your own desire wherever it leads.